Nice mic.
Hi everyone, my name's Cam. And I'm going to talk to you about coding evenings, which is an initiative I've started because I'm really cool. So I thought I'd do a quick introduction to me. I'm a primary school teacher. I teach maths and computing as a speciality, but I have an English degree. I don't like teaching English, I do like teaching maths and computing. I've got no background in computer science whatsoever. I don't really know how to program. I've started to learn, but going through school I didn't know anything. So I started running a code club with no clue, learned how to use Scratch on the fly, and then I went to Pi Academy just over a year ago. So I'm sure any of you who've been to Pi Academy will agree with me that it's some of the best CPD, which means continuing professional development, that you can go on. It's a fantastic free piece of training and you just feel inspired. So by the end of it, I had this training with Carrie-Anne Philbin and the rest of the team, and I wanted to do more. And I was very aware that all I'd done so far was quite selfish. I got a Raspberry Pi, I sat at home, I played with it a little bit, so I wanted to do more. The first thing I did was created a blog. I'm sure some of you have all done your own. What I wanted to do was share my experiences as a beginner learning to code and learning to teach coding. So I sat down and I tried out loads of resources. Some were free, some cost money, and I wrote down what I found worked well and what I found did not work quite so well. And started getting some interest. I started tweeting about it, and I shared all the different things I was doing. I went to a code club meetup, which was in central London, and they just invited volunteers and teachers to come along. At that particular one, I was one of 2 teachers, and the rest of the room was programmers, developers, professionals who sort of wanted to help in schools but didn't know what they were doing. I went to a CAS hub, and the one I went to was quite formal. It was, here's what I want to share with you, we're going to sit down, you're going to listen to a lecture, and then you're going to go home. It was in a school as well, and by the time I'd spent a day teaching, I didn't really want to go to somebody else's school and listen to them teaching again. And then I went to PyCon UK as well last year, which was another really fantastic experience. And I got to meet some other Raspberry Pi certified people like Sway, who's doing lots of wonderful things. And I kept meeting all these people, and I found there were sort of 2 groups of people. There were teachers who wanted to teach but weren't really sure what they were doing. And then there were programmers and professionals and people involved in coding who wanted to help teachers but didn't really know how. And there was a sort of juxtaposition between these 2 groups. My big revelation was going to BET. BET is a big trade show for teachers and technology people. And I was really lucky, the Pi team asked me to do a talk. And that sort of made me realise that actually I'm quite happy to stand up in front of a room full of people and share what I'm doing and talk about me. You know. So my opinion of the problem is that there are lots of teachers, in primary schools in particular, who have been told, you have to teach coding. And I consider myself to be fairly lucky that I've got a vague idea what that means. But I would say maybe 80% of primary school teachers sort of looked at that new curriculum and went, oh my God, I have no idea what any of these words mean. And it's really, really quite scary. And for a lot of primary school teachers, we have to learn stuff quite quickly to quite a high standard. And so to say you're starting from scratch on something new is very hard work. They've got no background in computing. A lot of them will have English degrees or history degrees, things like that they've gone into primary school teaching because they have a passion for helping children learn. And they have no budget. There's no budget in primary schools. We can buy a few bits and bobs, but we can't go and spend thousands and thousands of pounds on training. I've been on a lot of training. I'm not lying when I say that sometimes I've had a nap mid-afternoon and the school's paid thousands of pounds for me to go on this training and I'm bored out of my brain. Or it's expensive, or something like Pi Academy, they accept 24 people out of all of the people who apply for each one. So it can be hard to get on. There's also a massive problem with fear. Primary school teachers are afraid of trying something new. Even in my own school, I've got other teachers who aren't confident enough to try out coding in their computing lessons, and I have to go in and say, look, it really is this easy. So, the need is that primary school teachers need to feel confident. The professionals that I've already mentioned, they need to know what the teachers actually want. I still find a lot of people say to me, oh, you just do the API with the thingy and the thingy. And I'm looking at them blankly going, I'm a primary school teacher. Stop. Go back to basics. Remember, I don't know what you're talking about right now. And we need an informal atmosphere, because going to a school at the end of a school day is something that fills me with dread. I've just spent all day in a school and I don't want to go to somebody else's. His talks in a bit, just wait. And there's also this feeling with teachers, we don't get the chance to play, we get told. Here is what you need to teach. Go. We don't get a chance to play with it ourselves. So one of the things I really enjoyed about Pi Academy was that you get given the stuff and play with it. So my solution was to start in January a coding evening. I emailed around all my local schools. I think I had about 5 or 6 teachers turn up in the end, which was actually quite a good start. My next one in September, I've got 32 people signed up so far, and I think about 15 of them are teachers. After a few of them, I created codingevening.org, because people were asking me, can I host my own? Hannah said to me, can I host one in Peterborough? Can I do the same thing you're doing? So her second one is in a few weeks' time.
Yep.
I've got a group in Horsham said, can we host one? One in Southend. I've got people in Manchester, East London, Berlin, even America, people saying, we want to do what you're doing, tell me what to do. Tell me how I can create my own coding evening. So, I started writing down what you need. From my perspective, to host a coding evening, you need somewhere informal and relaxed. My preference is a pub. I'd quite like having a beer at the end of a long week, or at the end of a long day even. But it could be a coffee shop, as long as it's somewhere that's informal, that you can relax at, because as I said, going to a school, not the most fun place when you've been in one all day. You need to have a leader. So Hannah and I are the leaders of our groups. We are responsible for making sure that the people who come have someone they can go and talk to. So at my coding evenings, if someone walks through the door and says to me, I am a complete beginner, what can I do? I'll direct them to Mark, who is an excellent person to work with beginners. If someone walks in the door and says, I've done a bit of coding, but I'm not really very confident, I can direct them to Nick, who's a teacher in Latimer Prep School and has all these wonderful ideas. And or I'm an expert in industry, but I need some teachers to try out my resource. Okay, fine. Try these people. You need that central person, somebody who's willing to sit and greet people and try and match them up, get to know people in their evening. What you need is for teachers to leave feeling a little bit more comfortable about teaching the new curriculum. Generally the feedback we get is, when is the next one? Can I come again? Can I bring my Pi along so you can show me how to use it? Can I bring this along so you can show me how to use it? And I want to encourage experts, those people who've got all those wonderful ideas, to share those ideas. Share what they're doing, share what they think will be valuable to a school. And we also try and pair up people who want to volunteer in schools. So we've had a couple of schools now who've left with a volunteer for Code Club. That's what I've got next. I've got lots and lots of contact information for me there, if you want to get in touch about organising your own. I can tell you a few more things about the evenings. I've been really lucky. People like Pimaroni have sent me resources to try out. So my Code Club sat and played with the resources. I always have a Raspberry Pi set up, so that you can just plug things in and see what happens. So we have some Pi stops from Fortronics that I do simple demos with for those beginners. We have the CamJam EduKit and all the resources printed out. So when a teacher says to me, how do you go about introducing Python? I can just pull it out and say, here's some resources I use. Mark always comes with a load of Code Club printouts ready to go, so you can show them to people. So you need to have lots of preparation, lots of things ready, but it's always a good fun evening. On the website, I've put details like wording for an email that I send out to people. I've put information about how I foresee an evening running. I'm happy to help promote your evenings if you want to host one. And I'm just really enthusiastic about getting people involved. So I urge you now to either find out if someone's trying to run a code club in coding evening in your area and join in, or to think about running your own. My main thing that I think you need is a teacher, it's helpful if you can find a Raspberry Pi certified teacher, because we seem to be super enthusiastic from what I've seen. But as long as you've got that teacher to make the contact, because schools are less threatened by teachers than by other external people, then you're going to have a nice, good, fun evening. I know, Hannah, you quickly wanted to say something before I finish, but just before I end, are there any questions? Does anyone have anything? Yeah?
Is there anything like this for secondary school teachers?
Hannah runs hers for middle school, secondary school. What I've found as well with my coding evenings now, I'm getting secondary school people who teach lower key stage 3.
Whereas I'm getting a lot of secondary school teachers, and then I'm starting in the next one. I've had Hilary came to mine and is now a certified educator. But I'm starting to get, this time around, starting to get more primary school teachers. So it kind of starts with where you teach, doesn't it? And then it gets a big mix.
I mean, I think
like TAs and all sorts.
I think in lower secondary there is that same gap, but some of the ICT and computing teachers don't have the knowledge and skills that they need really to teach it. So we are seeing some of them creeping in to what we're doing. I mean, mine's more primary focused because I'm a primary teacher, but it's not exclusively primary. Any? Yep.
Does your venue know that you're coming?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm lucky that my local pub has a lovely big function room that with a big HDMI TV screen that we can use, and they're just happy for us to use it whenever we want. So book it in advance. If you can find a pub with a free function room, it's a great place to host them.
And generally, if you tell them that you're going to do it regularly, they'll waive any booking fees. My pub does. They're just like, you're going to buy beer and food in the middle of the week. Yeah.
It's quite nice. People pop in, they get themselves a pint, they have a chat for a bit, then they nip down, buy a burger, that gets delivered, and we all just sit around the table eating burgers and playing with technology.
I would just quickly say though, if you're running one, I found it quite useful to have a beer in my hand when they got there, so they knew that they didn't have to drink orange juice just because it's a school thing.
Any further questions? Hopefully I haven't bored you too much with my rapid blathering about coding. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, this has been done for me.
Sorry, Hannah wants to...
Yeah, sorry. Okay. For those who live sort of in the Peterborough area, it's obviously not that far from here, we are actually starting a Peterborough Raspberry Jam. We have a venue, is it the university?
It's University Centre Peterborough. We did actually do one about 18 months ago, but I've been far too busy trying to be a teacher. So Hannah's kindly come on board to do all some lovely stuff, and obviously get some more teachers involved as well. I haven't got a third date, but it should be towards the end of November.
And if you want to keep an eye on the Twitter, it's PetRaz Jam, and we'll be tweeting the date as soon as we've got it.
And if you keep an eye out on the CamJam mailing list, I'll send it out on that as well.
I'm sorry, I just thought I should also add, the next Peterborough Coding Evening is the 22nd of September. The next Twickenham Coding Evening is the 24th of September. And we're hosting a special event in Mozilla in central London on the 15th of October for Code Week EU. So there are lots of events coming up. What I'm hoping is that the one at Mozilla, we can get lots of people who are interested in hosting their own evening to come together and see what we're doing in Twickenham. Hopefully if Hannah can get some of her people to come down, what they're doing, you can see